I would like to introduce Dr. Reysa Alenzuela, who is currently adjunct professor at the Central Philippine University, the School of Graduate Studies, teaching Masters in Library and Information Science. She was a senior law librarian of the University of the South Pacific MLS campus. And Reysa was a postdoctoral fellow at South Korea. She graduated from University of Aligarh, and also she did a specialization in archives administration. Prior to joining to the university, she was an expert manager at Nazarbayev University in Kazakhstan from 2016 to 2018, and was director of Thomas Jefferson Information Center at US Embassy Manila from 2017 to 2018. Her research focus is on advocacy, which is more important these days than open access, information literacy, academic integrity. And she has edited a book which is very, very useful for the library science educators, Internationalization of Library and Information Science Education in Asia Pacific, in collaboration with authors from Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and also Tajikistan. And also she recently completed developing the competency index for librarians in Vanuatu, and concluded a program on cultural competency development of Naivan librarians funded by the American Library Association. Currently, she is the volunteer consultant in academic libraries in Western Visayas region of the Philippines, and she is developing virtual reference services and on creating a competency index for theological librarians in Southeast Asia. Madam Professor Reysa, I welcome you. Please go ahead, please.
Good morning. Good morning, Professor Rao. I'd like to request that I will be enabled to share, as I have a PowerPoint presentation. So while I'm waiting to share my presentation, I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Department of Library Information Science, Aligarh Muslim University, and Telangana Library Association for having this event, as well as I'd like to thank Professor Rao and Professor Ali for giving me a chance to join this prestigious event. I don't think I can still share at this point my PowerPoint. Probably I need to be a co-host or something. By the way, I hope my sound is doing well. Please let me know if there are interruptions. I'm looking at the chat box, so I think I can see things from here. Okay, I'm just to start when I have the power to share my PowerPoint slides. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much again, Professor Rao, for giving me this opportunity to have to join the distinguished groups of speakers all over the world, as well as the overwhelming number of LIS scholars, researchers, and library practitioners. I hope my presentation would give a good idea of how we are working on in terms of LIS education. I don't think I could still share as of now. I don't have the opportunity. I don't have the capacity to share my slides. So the talk that I'm going to provide is not much of all the advancements in, especially the technological advancements. So okay, now that I can share, thank you so much again. Let me go to my slide. Just a bit. Okay, where am I now? So, okay, I bet, no, this is the Google Chrome. Let me try this one and I'll just shift it if I can do that. Something else, I know where the rest of the world, especially the developing countries, are talking about digital scholarship, artificial intelligence, emerging technology, which are essential in the information platform nowadays. But I'd like to share a bit about charting the course of LIS education Okay, so what are the that cultural or language platforms are having an quite different, equal, different in terms of development. Okay, so to continue, okay, so I'll just be providing an overview of LIS education in Asia Pacific. And I'll be highlighting initiatives in these countries. Okay, sorry, my slide is not working the way others have mentioned. Am I objectives? I correct? PowerPoint is not showing. Some said PowerPoint is not showing. Okay, let me just do it again. It should be showing by now. I hope I didn't try. I'm pretty familiar with this, but it looks like there are some glitches that I don't understand why it's happening. Okay, black screen. Okay. I don't know why it was black screen. This is the same platform that I have. How's this? I hope I am the PowerPoint.
Yes.
So hopefully this is the PowerPoint.
Yes,
Objectives.
yes,
I'll be providing it.
Okay.
It's
Go to slide.
okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, on objectives. Okay. So I'll be sharing insights that can be useful probably to chart future directions of LIS education, considering in mind the inclusivity and multiculturalism and diversity. Okay, so most of the things that I'm going to talk about, as Professor Rao was mentioned, will be from my book on utilization of library information science education in Asia Pacific region. Actually, there's something about India, but I don't think I have enough time to share with it, and I know you know better than I do about India. And also my personal experience living and working in selected countries in different parts of the world. So my coverage would be 4 countries in Central Asia. I would not be able to include Turkmenistan as my information are quite limited. Also, we'll be discussing a bit about what's in LIS education in Southeast Asia as a region, and zero when in the Philippines and in the Pacific. I'll be focusing more on Vanuatu. Okay, so this video. Pretty much people from India knows in the map the Central Asia as the Soviet Republic, composed of Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Turkmenistan. So let me start with the fact that from the first days of independence and sovereignty, the Central Asian republics, these 5 countries, have considered education and its modernization as important factors of socio-economic development. Hence, they were able to develop these legal frameworks in education. So moving forward to specific country, the first is Kazakhstan. At present, library education is provided by 9 universities and 15 post-secondary educational institutions. These are spread across the wide steppes in different regions of Almaty, Kızılorda, Pavlodar, Shemkan, and Karaganda, which is a good thing about their LIS education. In terms of master's degree program, I'd like to highlight also the 3 important universities in different regions that are offering the courses. But most of the time, in my knowledge, librarians or library staff in Kazakhstan would also enroll in Chelyabinsk State Institute in Russia because they have a remote platform for learning even before as early as probably 2016. Also, another famous school that is close to Kazakhstan is Bishkek State University in Kyrgyzstan. Okay, next, I hope I receive a notice that there's some problem with connectivity. I hope I'm still in with everyone. The next one is that I wanted to highlight when it talks about international education in Kazakhstan is the internationalization initiative. So one And the second one are the exchange programs and scholarship that has been done in the country. As early as 2010, the Committee of Ministers of Education of countries participating in the Bologna process have admitted Kazakhstan, making them as the 47th member of the European higher education and the first country in Central Asia to be a part of the Bologna process. The effect of this is that based on the principles of the Bologna Declaration, there's the transition to a three-level model of training specialists. Bachelor's degree, master's degree, and doctorate degree level was carried out, and the credit system was introduced in all universities and in the higher education institutions. Another thing that we wanted to highlight is that syllabuses were designed or redesigned in accordance with Dublin descriptors, which is an important part of Bologna process, and the national qualifications framework were established. Another thing that I wanted to highlight is the internationalization in the education system that relates to interstate and university cooperation. So that's the exchange program and the scholarships. One thing among this internationalization initiative that I wanted to emphasize is the Bolshak program, which is an international scholarship established by the decree of the President of the Republic of Kazakhstan in 1993 that played an important and outstanding role in developing every profession. It's intended supposedly to have LIS professionals and educators, but as it was open in 2015 to include library information science subject, however, there were limited number of applicants or none at all. But actually on the institutional level that I have mentioned, there were so much engagement in exchanges and scholarship in Kazakhstan. I'd like to take as a specific case, Nazarbayev University. Nazarbayev University was established in 2010 with the first chair as the first president of the Republic of Kazakhstan himself, Nursultan Nazarbayev. But in 2016, Nazarbayev University adopted the concept of internationalization, which provided a concrete approach to the university initiatives for development. There was a huge document about that on strategies and how they're going to implement it. But I wanted to highlight where librarians and LIS education is involved. By the way, LIS education in Nazarbayev University is still in the process of being developed. But nonetheless, they have been taking in a great part. They're providing good practices in terms of internationalization. One of which is the recruitment of international librarians. New libraries recruited from Belarus, Canada, Greece, Great Britain, India, Nigeria, the Philippines, of course, the United Arab Emirates, and the USA, drawing librarians with master's and doctorate degree to provide information and to provide updates and trends on what are done in the other parts of the world. Also, the most interesting part of exchanges that enhance competencies and updates librarians in the field is the exchange program that for local for Kazakhstani librarians. So through the partnership with several institutions in the US and UK, Kazakhstani librarians from Nazarbayev University are provided weeks and short courses that last weeks and few months, to go to the US or to the UK and other parts of the world to experience what are the best practices or the practices in LIS and library information science, which if you have a chance to visit the country, you would see how impressive their practices are, which are trying to adopt to the modernization. Also, one thing that I wanted to emphasize is the continuing professional development. This is more of the payback of Kazakhstani librarians working in Nazarbayev University, sharing their experiences, their international experiences from abroad, where there's a week-long training for Kazakhstani librarians from other universities and public libraries or special libraries. This is done in collaboration, the knowledge sharing is done in collaboration with international librarians of NU. And speaking of continued professional development, I'd like to highlight as well an event which is coming soon in 30th of September to October 2. That's the Eurasian Academic Librarians Conference, where LIS scholars, LIS practitioners, and LIS educators also gather to share the experiences and their knowledge in the field. Another thing, so moving further to the next country, Kyrgyzstan, I'd like to emphasize that the importance of librarianship in Kyrgyzstan has been fully recognized in the Republic. This is the decree that was developed in 2018, which highlights how libraries preserve the country's intellectual, cultural, and spiritual aspects. So, the mere recognition by the state of the importance of libraries, librarians. Along that, there are also related laws to universal access to information and cultural preservation in significant milestones in library education in the are first, as early as 1927, actually they have addressed issues on status of public libraries and professionalism of librarians. And a decade after that, a 2-year library training school was opened, and as early as 1965, higher library education was also provided. The concept of professional library education in the Kyrgyz Republic are evident in the internationalization initiatives. They also have the adherence to Bologna process, where there's the development of a 2-level education and a requirement to review the content taught to librarians to ensure that it meets the new educational standards, or to quality assure the library education. Also, there are several continuing professions that are done in hopefully in the future, this could be a platform where you could also participate to expand the reach of LIS scholars. One famous for this is Isikul, which has been running for 20 years. When you're in Central Asia, you will know that this is a very popular program. Aside from that, the Kyrgyzstan Library Consortium is also very active, and there are international and national and non-governmental organizations funding the projects in Kyrgyzstan. Moving further to the third country in Central Asia, which is Tajikistan. So the importance of formation of professional and pedagogical competencies of the librarians are actually stated in their what they call as normative documents and acts. So there are several that I just highlighted this here. But in Tajikistan, there are still some gaps that was considered. If I may note, in my personal observation, there among the 5 countries, they are actually giving. Tajikistan is the last of those who are developing LIS education. And so Mahmudov has provided specific strategies on internationalization of their education, which includes intensification of interaction with the international community, development of their legal frameworks, and toughening of accreditation. Also, another part that I wanted to highlight when it comes to Central Asia is Uzbekistan. In terms of training and continuing education, the pioneer or the most significant universities are Tuwit and Tashkent State Institute of Arts and Culture. So there were a lot of programs that has been done in enhancing LIS education, and the way I see it, Uzbekistan has been inclined towards development of LIS education with ICT orientation. So there are also a lot of projects they have where faculty has participated. One is in the Tempus project, which was also where leading universities in Europe also participated. Other things is that I wanted to mention are the international conferences as a means of engagement. So they have various platforms for that. But yet there are still some constraints in LIS education amidst all those development that are happening. So some of those mentioned by Emil Hines are high costs of education, language barriers. As we all know, CIS countries are more into Russian, and they are and that hampers them from facilitating new information or gathering resources from developed countries. Also, limited return on investment. There's no salary grade scale standardization in these countries. Hence, even they have a master's degree, the salary is still relatively smaller. Also, bureaucratic barriers in implementing the skills they gain, which is a challenge for everyone. Lapo and Vladyarova also mentioned some conditions that needs improvement, like low status of library profession, unattractiveness of libraries for young people, the knowledge of English of LIS faculty, which needs to be enhanced, and the need for participation in international education programs. Also, Emil Hines has provided recommendations like creating international master's degree program within the region and creating online short courses. Moreover, Lapo and Vladyarova recommended that the development of updated LIS educational program that incorporates modern foreign theories and practices, as well as retraining of library schools. In strengthening internationalization, Lapo, Makhmudov, and Rakhmatollayev has suggested more participation in the Bologna process, international participations in projects and consortia and conferences, as well as creation of national accreditation centers for evaluating library school curricula and certification of library staff competencies in accordance with international standards. So moving further, the next country, Southeast Asia. So Southeast Asia, as we all know, is
Professor
divided into
Reysa,
all
can
these
you
areas.
take 2-3 minutes and conclude, please?
Yes, yeah. I'm trying to shorten it. There are only a few more slides. Thank you. I got your message. In Southeast Asia, we have, these are the countries that we're focusing on: Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam, but I'll be putting a bit emphasis on Philippines. There's only a few of this that I will be talking about. So in the Philippines, if you notice, there are a number of institutions offering LIS programs in these countries. If you notice, Philippines is the highest number of Bachelor in Library Information Science program, and we have master's degree program, but we still don't have the doctorate degree program. However, Thailand has a kind of a good spread, having Bachelor in Library Information Science program, master's degree program, and doctorate degree program. But the inadequacy lies in the fact that some of the countries actually doesn't even have any program at all. So that's the gap that I wanted to talk about. When we talk about internationalization in Southeast Asia, an essential part actually is more regionalization. First, we start with regionalization. And the key concept there is the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework, which is a common reference framework that enables comparison of educational qualifications across participating ASEAN member states. Part of it is on LIS education. So this is how it works through referencing. So AQRF is 8 level. Some countries in their national qualifications framework may have 6 and some may have 9. So in order to balance and to promote academic mobility and professional mobility, there is a referencing framework that's worked on for purposes of recognition. In the Philippines, LIS program is all accredited by the Commission on Higher Education, except for the University of the Philippines School of Library and Information Studies, which is because the University of the Philippines system is actually autonomous, an autonomous university. Also, for some universities who are who wants to be on a higher level, we have third-party or private accrediting bodies, which is voluntary. I have already fully explained about recognition a while ago, and we have specific governing laws as well in the Philippines that strengthens our librarianship and LIS education. And last but not the least, currently there are researches agreed by there was in 2017 the Thai Librarians Association, the Philippine Librarians Association incorporated signed a memorandum of agreement, and part of the agreement is to conduct various researches, which is part of considered on internationalization. Future of LIS education, as I've mentioned, this charts the path of opening borders of opportunities. We have LIS programs, new technology. Despite the pandemic, the development of this technology would have brought about a capability of, or rather, opportunities for libraries to study online, which is very important. And the research collaboration that we're doing in the Philippines are also very useful for collaboration. Okay, so last but not the least is Vanuatu. I wanted to say that while the rest of the world discusses how library information studies can best cope with the emergent trends, we're talking about artificial intelligence as an important component of virtual reference services, digital scholarship, and data analytics. Some parts of the world, like Vanuatu, they don't even offer LIS programs, so which is a problem. I have a description of where Vanuatu is. In short, it's just somewhere beside Australia. Below is a bit, beside it, there's Australia, and then Fiji. The nearest country is the small island of New Caledonia. Okay, so there is the Vanuatu Library Association, and they have 20 active members, which are mainly in Port Vila. But the way I see it, when I did trainings in other countries, there are some as well in other provinces. Like this one, I conducted this to 13 participants in Espiritu Santo. So more or less, I guess there are about 50 librarians there. Unfortunately, there are only less than 10 taking their diploma in LIS from the University of South Pacific. And only one librarian has finished a bachelor's degree. So there's really so much to be done in this part of the world. Future directions, I'd like to say, this is one of the last slides that I have. International librarians' participation is essential in developing LIS education in Vanuatu. Probably we could forge some kind of collaboration in that. Currently, they just have advocated for the value of library by submitting a proposal for registration of the Library Services Act. And hopefully, with availability of online courses, even librarians can get a degree. We know, but another thing is that the regional recognition needs to be in place where access to education and opportunities can be easier and inclusive. In closing, what I wanted to say is that the development of LIS education in every country has been affected by so many factors. We all know that. ICT, geographic location, language diversity, emphasis on different areas. But when we talk about envisioning education, LIS education, I'm not really saying that they would be at the same level as developed countries, but we hope that no librarian is left behind. So we hope that through inclusion, through internationalization, by forging at the global level, we can work with them and help them improve their libraries and the library profession in these respective countries. And how we are going to harmonize these differences is a question I leave behind to everyone. This ends my presentation. Thank you so much and have a pleasant afternoon.
Thank you very much, Professor Reysa. You have covered lots of things and also gave a lot of ideas and suggestions. It is really useful to every professional. And I know that we are running short of time, but within the limited time, you could do a lot of, could present a lot of things. Thank you very much.